Hello and welcome to this flow session that will start standing up. And before you do, have a couple of bricks, maybe a belt, some water if it's quite warm, and make sure that you feel comfortable within yourself today and that you only ever go as far as you feel is comfortable. Let's start standing to about feet hip width apart, hands pointing, or rather fingers pointing down towards the floor. Close your eyes and find a little bit of time here to notice your breath. Aiming to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Notice how you feel your physical body, perhaps using your breath to scan through from the feet to the crown of the head, from the left and then from the right, making your way up, noticing what feels right and what perhaps feels not so right. And as the case may be, what feels wrong, making sure that you are kind to yourself. And with your mind's eye, imagine just a thread pulling you up from the crown of the head towards the ceiling. And you're pressing the big toe mound, little toe mound, inner heel, outer heel, evenly and gently down into the floor. So you find yourself standing a little taller. You may open your eyes. And from here, as we inhale, we'll lift the arm halfway, turn the palms up and bring the arms over the head. As we exhale, we turn palms down and bring the arms back down to the side. Let's do this twice more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, we turn the palms, we lift up. Exhale, we turn back down. Let's see whether we can take this now coming up onto our toes. So as we inhale, we come up and we lift the arms. As we exhale, we release the arms down. If you find that this is just too much, simply maybe a little sway onto the feet, but not a complete lift up of the heels. Once more. Good, releasing the hands out now to the side of the body. We're going to take the weight onto the right leg, lift the left foot and take some ankle rolls. So if you need a little bit of support, you may have a wall or a wardrobe. Then change direction when you are ready. And then you take some knee rotations in the other direction. And then from this, you're going to take the leg back and forth. And come back and take some circles. So this time, imagine you're not quite digging the heel, but you certainly are pointing the toes up and then taking those circles. And so it feels like you are digging the heel, but you're making some circles. Oops, and perhaps losing your balance too. Release the foot down. Just take a couple of breaths to notice this side as opposed to the other side that hasn't quite been worked with yet. And then let's change. So again, big toe mound, little toe mound, inner heel, outer heel. You can gently flex the knee. Take the right leg up and take some ankle rolls. Over to the other direction. You can take those slowly, fast, however you feel is comfortable for you. Same goes for the knee circles. And you could, of course, take the leg a little lower down if you need to. In the other direction. And then again, extend the leg, dig your heel. Oh, no, sorry, I forgot the back and forth. So you can also sway your arms from back to forth as well to help you with the balance. And then this time, dig the heel and take the little circle. You can make the circles bigger if you want to, and then in the other direction. Notice if there is a little bit more ease in one side in comparison to the other. And release. Give your legs a little bit of a shake there. A little bit of a wiggle in the bottom and movement into the hips. Hands to your hips, in fact, with the feet to that outer hip width, bending the knees. We're going to take some circles into the hips. And then in the other direction. Good, when you come back through towards the center this time. Keep the hands where they are. You can take the shoulders right up towards the ears, tuck the chin. Inhale, take half a circle. Exhale, complete the circle. Inhale. Exhale. 2 in the other direction. Inhale, half a circle. Exhale, complete the circle. Come back to the center, take a couple of shoulder rolls in one direction and a couple in the other. Good, you're going to have the legs a little bit wider, bend the knees slightly, and then you're going to inhale and lift the arms up. As we exhale, we open the chest and the arms out over to the left. Inhale back through towards the center, exhale over to the right. Always an option to lift the arms, but certainly do try to keep your hips facing forward and so you are moving from the ribcage. Once more. Come back through towards the center, release the arms out to the side. Good. From this you may well need your blocks or bricks, and I would recommend to bring them to the top of the mat. And from here we'll be inhaling the arms up over the head, and as we exhale we dive forward and release the hands towards the block or the brick or even the floor if you can quite get there straight away. Here, let's try to work into our knees a little bit, or rather straightening the back of the legs. So to start with, you can keep the knees bent and allow that spine to drape. As you take a couple of breaths here, so the belly goes closer towards the thighs. Monitor that this feels comfortable in your body. Then you're going to gaze forward, bend the knees once more. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the hands in towards the chest. So this was coming forward fold, keeping a long back, and this might be suitable particularly for those of you that have issues rolling the spine. And this time we'll come back down again, but rolling the spine, unless it feels uncomfortable for you, in which case you come back to the previous variation. So on this one, we tuck the chin in towards the chest, we keep those knees fairly soft and the glutes relaxed, and then we slowly uncurl ourselves. I quite like to allow the hands to slide into the front of the legs. And again, you're in the same posture here, Uttanasana, the standing forward bend. Feel free to have your blocks or your bricks or the hands to the floor, even holding onto the elbows. if you feel up to it there, you'll start to, you can take your hands to your thighs in fact, and very, very gently feel the thigh muscles pushing towards the thigh bones. So you gently push, and then the thigh bones towards the back of the legs. So perhaps we lift the spine and the upper body a little bit more, and we also stretch into the back of the legs. Then allow the hands to come back towards the feet, tuck the chin, bend the knees, and you're going to, as you exhale, whether it takes an exhale and a little bit of an inhale too, allow this to come back slowly so that the crown of the head comes back up last. Good. From this, let's take the hands behind, interlacing the fingers, rolling the shoulder blades back, and you might straighten the arms. Possibly you take a belt instead, if that's more comfortable for your wrists. And here, imagine you're sort of scooping the tailbone down and lifting the breastbone up. And then we're going to come back, releasing the hands, coming back to a long spine. We'll move onto towards the top of the mat if you weren't already there. Let's inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Let's take the right leg back and then the right knee down. Inhale, the arms up. And then exhale, the arms down. Tuck the back foot, take the front leg back into a down dog. Alternatively, stay onto the hands and knees. Push the floor away from you, sitting bones up. Come back onto either hands and knees or into your plank. Nose, chin, chest, come back down towards the floor. Take the hands a little further forward so the elbows are under the shoulders. Allow the chest to melt so that you are into your Sphinx. Forgot what it was called there for a second. Hands to the side of the chest, tuck the toes, sit back briefly into your heels, lift back up. Lift the right leg up towards the ceiling, and then if you can, you're going to bring the right leg all the way towards the front. Releasing the left knee down to the floor. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Tuck the back foot, back leg comes to the front, crown of the head down, bend the knee, sweep the floor. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Let's repeat this on the other side, so taking the left leg first. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Left leg goes back, left knee goes down. Lift and then down. Tuck the back foot, the front leg goes back into a down dog or into your hands and knees if you wanted to. Stay here for a few breaths, pressing those hands down. If you can gaze towards your hands, make sure that the entirety of the hand is as flat towards the floor as can be. Knees are still a little bit bent. You can start to push the thigh muscles towards the thigh bones and the thigh bones towards the hamstrings, and maybe even release the heels towards the floor. Then we're going to come back up onto the toes and forward into a plank or a half a plank, and release ourselves down all the way to the floor. Take perhaps your Sphinx again or any variation. I like to take a hovering cobra, which forces the use of the back muscles rather than pushing onto the hands. My hands are off the floor here. Tuck the toes, sit back down into your heels, lift back up into a down dog. Right leg lifts and comes forward. No, it's the other one, apologies. Comes forward, you release the knee down to the floor. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Tuck the back foot, it comes forward. Crown of the head down to the floor. Bend the knees, inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands in towards the chest. Let's do this twice more, once to either side, and perhaps a little faster. Or, if you want to keep to the slower pace, you can replay the last two that we did. Arms up and down. Right leg goes back. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Tuck the back foot, the front leg goes back into a down dog. We'll stay here for a couple of breaths. Up onto the toes, forward into a plank or a half a plank. Release yourself down and then maybe transfer onto any back bend that feels good, including an upward facing dog where the knees are lifted up off the floor. Back into a down dog, right leg lifts, right leg comes forward. Left knee to the floor, or maybe you keep that left knee off the floor as you lift the arms up. Release, arms down, back leg steps to the front, crown the head down, bend the knee, sweep the floor. Inhale, arms up, hands in towards the chest. To the other side, inhale, arms up, exhale, arms down. This time the left leg goes back. Knee on or off the floor. Hands down, foot leg goes back into a down dog. Stay for a couple of breaths. Up onto the toes, forward into a plank or a half a plank. Release yourself into any variation that feels good. Stay for a breath. Back into a down dog. Left leg lifts and comes forward. Right knee can stay lifted. Release the hands down, back leg steps to the front, crown of the head down. Bend the knees, sweep the floor. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Release the hands out to the side and take a couple of breaths. Let's inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Let's take the left leg back and the left knee down towards the floor. Here we can lift onto the thigh, find the length into the front of the hip. Then let's place the right leg a little bit more out to the side, so that we bring ourselves forward and down. So the left hand is under the left shoulder. You could also use a brick for support if you wanted to. And using your hand, you can turn your torso towards the thigh, or perhaps you take the arm forward and up, so you open up into the chest here. You could also keep the hand to the hip if you wanted to. You could gaze down, forward, or up. Then let's take the arm back, so we take a full circle. It lands into the front or to the side of the foot, which we bring back in line with the ankle and the knee in line with the shoulder. Lift the back leg, step it forward, crown of the head down. Then the knee, sweep the floor. Inhale, come all the way up, hands in towards the chest. Let's inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. This time it is the right leg that goes back, the right knee that goes down. We're going to take the hands to the thigh and bring ourselves back up. You can step the left leg out to the side a little bit. Bring the right hand down towards the floor. And then taking the left hand to turn the thigh a little bit or to help turn our chest towards the side. Here, option is to stay as you are, opening the chest this way, or take the arm up or even towards the hip. And taking a few breaths here. And then we'll release the arm behind, bring it back to the floor, walk the left foot to be back under the face and the shoulder. Tuck the back foot, take the back leg all the way towards the front, crown of the head down to the floor. Bend the knees, sweep the floor. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands in towards the chest. You can stay where you are on your mat. I'm just going to move to the other side. We'll move into a series of posture we'll put together from inhaling the arms up, exhale, arms down. Take the left leg back and then we'll pivot the back foot down so that here you can see that your right heel is in line with the inner arch of the back foot. If when you come up this feels wobbly, you can certainly move the back leg a little bit more forward. Here, using your core, you're going to extend the left arm and then bring yourself back into a warrior two. So we're coming up in this Vinyasa Yoga style. Gaze towards the middle finger of the right arm. Look down towards your right knee. Perhaps realign so the toes are in line with the knee. So you can maybe see the second and third toe here. Relax the shoulders. Inhale, hinge forward. Exhale, either release the forearm lightly to the thigh, or you can take it all the way down to the floor, and the top arm can stay where it is, or it can come overhead into your side angle, so where you're opening your chest. Some of you may even be able to take the hand behind the leg. Make sure that as much as you're pressing big toe man, little toe man, inner heel, outer heel, you could lift your toes and give me a little wave there. Well done. And then we're going to bring ourselves back into the warrior two, straighten the front leg to then move on to a triangle. So we keep the leg straight, top arm could be up or it could be behind, resting onto the hip. Your gaze could be down, so the nose would be facing in line with the toes, or you could gaze forward or you could gaze up. And then pressing onto those feet, bending into the front knee, come back to the warrior two. Straighten the front leg as you release the arms down to the hips. And then we're going to come down into our dog to the other side. So you pivot the feet, and then the front leg, the left leg becomes the back leg. So we find ourselves into our down dog. Feel free to come down into a child's posture here. To take a couple of breaths, or you may well stay in your down dog. Then let's take the arms forward, come back onto your hands and knees, tuck the toes, you're back into a down dog. Lift the left leg and then bring it in between the hands at the front. Pivot onto the back foot so that now the front heel is in line with the inner arch of the back foot. Keeping that left knee in line with the left ankle, you're going to take the right arm by the side of the ear, use your core to bring yourself back up. You're gazing towards the middle finger of the front arm into that warrior two. Make sure that the knee and the toes are somewhat aligned so that your knee is not coming in too much. That won't be doing too much to your knee, so you want to align. Whether that means you need to move the toes, please do so. So you're gazing towards the middle finger of the front arm. Inhale, and then as you exhale, hinge forward. Either release the forearm to the thigh, to the front of the leg, to the back of the leg. Top arm could be to the hip, could be up, or you could be turning the palm so it reaches towards the other side of the room, and you keep that beautiful opening into the chest and stacking of the shoulders. Let's take another couple of breaths. Feel the length from the hip down to the foot and from the hip up to the fingertips. Bring yourself back into your warrior two. Straighten the front leg, move on to your triangle. Perhaps the top arm comes down to the hip, whatever feels good to you. Your gaze may be coming up towards that lifted right thumb. Press onto your feet, come back into the warrior two, hands to the hips. And we're going to straighten the front leg, come back into that dog. So let's shift toes to the other side, then pivot onto the toes of the back foot. Release the hands down, take the front leg back into a down dog. It's up to you here if you'd like to have a little rest, or if you'd like to come up onto the toes, forward into a plank or a half a plank. Nose, chin, chest, bring yourself back up into a back bend. Then back into a down dog. This time you may want to walk, to step, to jump the feet all the way through towards the front. Crown of the head down, bend the knees, sweep the floor. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands in towards the chest. Release the arms out to the side of the body. Take a couple of breaths here. Good. From here, let's take a little bit more of folding forward posture, if you like. We're going to take the feet wide to about mat width apart, so the heels are coming in and the toes are pointing out. So my heels are coming in towards the center of the mat and the outer edge of my little toe still in line with the mat. I'm going to put the outer edges of my hands on my hip creases. Inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, bring myself forward into a long back, so that when I fall down here, my hands are gathering around my belly and I'm hanging down. So it's a nice release into the spine, and rest for the arms. You can bring also the weight more into the big toe mound, little toe mound. I do this because otherwise I keep my bum back behind me a little bit too much. Not happy with the head being down, then you're more than welcome to stay with the hands to the shins and have a long back, so you would come back into effectively a variation on your half a tabletop. Then from this, bring the hands down to the floor. You're going to come up onto the toes, so your heels are lifted and your knees are bending. And then here you're going to sit down to the inside. So you've got the legs wide to the outside of your arms. There we go. This may be okay for you. This may be where you need to take some bricks and place them under your heels to support you. Some of you may even be able to come all the way down with the heels and come into a variation of Malasana, the garland posture. Using your upper arms, pressing to the outside, pressing the outside of the upper arms to the shins, stretching into the lower back and onto the inner thighs as well. release the hands down to the floor, make your way back into your Charlie Chaplin feet forward fold. Take your hands back into the creases, lift yourself back to your half a tabletop, and then as you exhale, bringing yourself all the way back up there, finding yourself at the top. Good. Let's work a little bit more forearm strength here. Feet at the top of the mat. We're going to inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Take the right leg back and then take the left leg back. Come down onto your knees. And then to start with, we're going to bring ourselves down onto the forearms. You may need to stop the video and have a little look because this is quite subtle and perhaps I'm a little far away there. You're going to press the forearms down, and then as you exhale, you're going to round your upper back. So you essentially push the forearms down and separate the shoulder blades away from the spine. Then as you inhale, you're going to drop the chest as if the shoulder blades were going to overlap. Let's do this another couple of times. So you're pressing onto the forearms, you're separating the shoulder blades away from the spine. Now you may notice that my head moves. I am not moving my head, it is doing this movement. Exhale, drop the chest down. That allows you to move the head because you're releasing the spine. One last time. And then as you inhale, you drop the chest. Have a little rest back onto your heels, releasing the hands behind you, the cheek to the side. And then from this, now taking the hands to the side of the knees, slowly coming back up to a half, or to a kneeling position, or rather where you sat on your heels here. Let's come back onto our forearms. So bring the hands forward, come back onto the forearms, and then let's take a plank here, forearm plank. So you stretch one leg behind you, then you stretch the other leg behind you, then you bring the shoulders back to the elbow, pressing the arms down into the floor, the palms, and the heels back. Sometimes you could even try this against the wall actually, and you're working to keep that length into the body. So you're not sagging down, putting too much pressure into the lower back, and you're not piking up where you would be looking further away. You're sort of looking towards, depending on the length of your back and your arms, to the floor underneath your face. I can see my wrist and my forefingers. Then release the knees to the floor and take a little bit of a rest here into a child's posture again. We'll work onto a forearm dolphin dog. Come forward, and this time as you put your forearms down into the floor, you're going to interlace the fingers, and you can also take your measurement first by taking the arms to the opposite elbow to see if you're wide enough. So you're pressing the outer edges of the hands together towards the floor. And then here we're going to come back. So we're coming back to that similar plank that we did earlier on, except now the arms are interlaced. And then from this, push the forearms down so it engages the upper arms. And then you're going to stick your bottoms up to come into a down dog, and then start to walk your legs towards your arms here. So here you push the hands down so that you can still shake the head about. Push the hands down, you can walk the leg a little further forward, you can even start to take one leg up and release the other leg up and release. You can have another go here. And then when you're ready to, you can walk the legs back, release the knees down towards the floor, release the interlacing of the hands and take a little bit of a rest. Here, come back onto your hands and knees. You're going to take your left knee towards the left wrist. A little bit, so not completely to it, but you're essentially stepping maybe actually about a foot forward. And then you're going to release the back leg back a little bit. Release that left forearm down to the floor. And then you can take your forehead to the inside as you stretch the right arm forward. So we're doing this to get a stretch into the side of the body. After those folding forward postures. Take another breath here. Then let's come back and do this on the other side. So here, you take the right knee about a foot further forward, you take the right forearm to the floor, you start to stretch the left leg behind you. You don't have to stretch it very much if you don't want to. And then take that other arm forward. And feel the stretch into the arm, the side of the body. Take another breath here. And then come back to be sat onto your heels or perhaps onto your shins if that feels a little bit more comfortable here. We'll have a little play at the next posture. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not so, or you may not practice it very often. Let's take one of our bricks or a book, whatever you have. And we're going to come into a similar posture to what we did earlier on, which is where we took the knees wide and we had the hands in between there. So here, I'm going to essentially perch myself a little bit. You can either take the heels there or actually take your feet on it so you're onto the toes. It's a little bit of a balancing feat if you'd like. And then from this I have the big toes together and the heels together. This is how it differs from earlier on where the feet were a little bit wider. You take the knees wide and then you place your hands down onto the floor. So that here you can start to lift your bottom and then the knees come into the upper arms and you can bring yourself a little bit more forward. So you're starting to take some weight into the upper arms. And just see how this feels. You can allow the head to dangle. And then you can release back. Have a little bit of a rest, perching up. Beautiful bird that you are, giving your hands a little bit of a rest. If you wish, you can continue. You can do this once more, You don't necessarily have to be perched up, but sometimes it feels quite nice to have that feeling of height. So I'm going to carry on with my feeling of height here, and then I'm going to try this another time, and this time I'll see whether I can take a little takeoff. So my hands are on the inside of my legs as they were earlier on, and then I'm lifting up so I can bend the elbows and come to place my elbows in line with my wrists. And then from here I can lift one foot and release it, perhaps lift the other foot and release it. And then if I want to here, I can even try to lift both toes, sets of toes, both feet essentially, to come into my little crow. See how you get on. You can try it a few times. And then after this, let's come back. You can remove the brick if you want to, take your knees together. Find a little bit of balance. Release the hands down to the floor. Come away from your perch. Take the brick to the side. Come back onto your shins, having your knees about hip width apart, and then shoulders, hips and knees aligned here. You can stay as you are, firming your shins down and lengthening into the front of the body. You can also take the hands to the buttocks, roll the shoulders up and back so the elbows go towards one another. This also helps you lengthen by releasing the lower back, keeping that space in the lumbar area. And then offer the chest up towards the ceiling. Gaze back through towards the center. Release the shoulders back, take the hands to the side of the body. We're going to come to stretch onto the front of our mat here. So let's come all the way down to the floor. And find a little bit of rest here so you can wiggle your bottoms. And then from this, simply to start with, have the hands so that the fingers are about nipple height here. What we're going to do here is keep the neck long. I might sound a little bit muffled because I'm keeping the neck long and my gaze is down towards the rug, the mat here. Press the pubic bone down, press the top of the feet down so you're strong into your legs. You're going to inhale, lift the head and gaze over towards the right. Exhale, bring the head hovering and the gaze down. Inhale, lift and gaze over towards the left. Exhale, hover the head, relax the rest of the body. You're looking at your mat. Twice more to either side. Gaze over to the right, exhale back through to the center, release. Take your hands back under your face, cheek to the side, and then release the buttocks. So as much as there was a gentle weight onto the hands to keep the chest a little bit lifted, here it was more about taking the neck from side to side. Then let's now see if we can take the arms out to the side. And then lift a little bit more. So again, your legs are together, or actually your legs are straight. Mine will never want to stay together because of my back. Some of you may be able to keep them together, or they might separate. Either way, you press the feet down, you press the pubic bone down so it lengthens the lower spine. And then here we're going to do this hovering cobra that you may have practiced at the beginning, where you can lift and then take those hands away. Keep this time the neck long, so you're looking to your mat. And then we're going to release, take the hands under the face and the cheek to the other side. Wiggle the bottom, bend the knee and scissor the legs. Then you're going to take your hands underneath your legs, so you're kidnapping your hands if you want. So you're pressing here. This also helps with the lower back. Keep the forehead to the floor. I'm going to lift it so you can hear me. But here, as I extend, so I lengthen the tailbone, I push, so my pubic bone is in between the gap that my hands I've made, having been on my thighs, and then I'm going to lift my legs. And you can come up and down with this, or you can stay here for a few breaths. You can stay for a total of about 5 breaths here, or come up and down. Up as you inhale, down as you exhale. And release. Take your hands away, cheek to one side, wiggle your bottoms again. We'll take the upper body as well as the lower body on our next Shalabhasana in our locust posture. I'm going to take my belt and use it as an arm extension. Some of you may be very happy to interlace the hands behind and lift this way. I prefer to take my belt. So here again, I'm preparing by pressing the pubic bone down, pressing the top of the feet down, firming my legs. My neck is long. Inhale, lift the torso. Exhale, push the hands back. Inhale, lift the legs. Exhale, you can stay there for a few breaths. You might notice it's a little bit like with the breath you're swaying like a boat on the sea. Release when you are ready. Take a rest here. Hands to the side of the chest, tuck the toes, sit back into your heels, into your child's posture. I'm going to bring my knees in a little bit more and then sit back into my heels. Feel the breath stretching the back of the body. Slowly hands to the side of the knees and curl yourself back up. You're going to stretch your legs forward. And this time, let's take the the right knee in towards the chest. And then over to the side there. You might well stay here, or you might be able to release the knee towards the other knee. So the outside of the right foot, it looks the other way around, is to the floor. Take the hands to the knee, lift your chest. And then as you exhale, you're going to hinge yourself forward and down. Feel the intense stretch onto that left leg. Slowly bring your head back up. And we'll do the other side. Take the knee in, and then the knee out. You can work it here and come forward this way, or if you can, you're going to try to stack those knees together. Hand to the knee, lift the chest, and then as you exhale, you're going to come forward. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, release the leg. Let's take the feet flat to the floor and slide ourselves forward here. And then all the way down to the floor. Find your constructive rest position, so feet flat, knees up, about hip width apart. Arms facing up towards the ceiling. Big toe mound, little toe mound, inner heel, outer heel, every single one of your toes in contact with the floor. At the end of your next exhale, bring the toes and the heels together. Hug the knees in towards the chest. Release the feet flat to the floor, toes and heels still together. From this, extend your arms out to shoulder height. You may keep the feet to the floor and roll the knees over towards the right side, or perhaps you take the shins parallel to the floor and roll your knees to one side, or you hug your knees in without actually hugging with the arms, but bringing the knees in, and you release the knees over to the side. Whatever feels appropriate and comfortable to you, aiming to keep both shoulders down to the floor. Your knees may separate, you may want to have a blanket or a brick here. Otherwise, try to keep the toes and heels together, and then take the gaze over to the other side. Bring the gaze to the centre, the knees to the centre. And then let's move over to the other side. So get yourself comfortable in your legs before you gaze over to the other side, aiming to keep the chest open so you can slide your legs up or down, whatever feels comfortable. Bring your gaze back through to the centre, the knees back through towards the centre. If your legs aren't, or your feet aren't flat to the floor, release them down to the floor. Take the arms a little closer to the side of the body and extend your legs. Pressing the top of the back of the head down so you can release the shoulder blades in closer towards one another, supporting your spine. You may decide to have the legs any other way that feels more comfortable to you. Time to rest. Here in our Shavasana for the next few minutes. Nothing matters more than you being on your mat. Feel comfortable, spread yourself out. Feel that the energy, be it strong or be it not so strong, if you've exerted yourself a little bit here, feel this coming through your body as you rest. As you rest your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your teeth and lips, your neck, your upper body, your arms resting heavier and heavier on the floor. Your pelvis, your legs, your feet rolled out. Your fingers curling, your mind resting on the sensations that are going through your body. Can you slow down and hear your breath? Can you feel your pulse? feel that everything is slowed down. When you feel ready to, start to wiggle your toes and your fingertips. If you don't feel like it, stay where you are. Otherwise, take more and more subtle to not so subtle movements. Eventually rolling over onto one side, curled up into a ball. Open your eyes. Let them get used to the light again. Press your top hand down to the floor slowly and curl yourself back up. Come back to a comfortable seated posture. Let's take 3 breaths together. Inhale, arms up. Let's take 1 more breath. Release the thumbs to the forehead for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, and to the heart for kind actions. I salute you. Namaste.